Hi everyone, my name is Yvette Terry. I have been writing resumes professionally for over 15 years. If you are struggling with creating a resume that engages your reader and attracts employers or recruiters, guess what? You are in the right place. Today, I am going to share with you 4 tips on how you can create a resume that appeals to your target audience. So tip number 1 involves your header. Your header is extremely important because you only have 6 seconds to tell your reader who you are, what you've done, and what you can do for them. The goal here is to put your objective in the driver's seat. Let's take a look at an example. So here in our first example, we can see Mary C. Smith, a fictional character I created, immediately who she is. She is a senior human resources manager specializing in learning and development. We can see what she's done because we've bolded some of the areas where she's been acknowledged for leading over 75 training and development courses in her organization. She's also has a master's degree in educational technology and she's human resources certified. So we can see who she is, what she's done, and what she can do for them. In terms of what she can do for them, past performance is an indication of future performance. So she's outlined her successes very well, or I've written them very well in this summary, and so that she can tell her readers, entice her readers, that I've done this in my current job and I'm capable of doing this, if not more, in the position that I seek to fill next. So put your objective in the driver's seat. All right, let's move on to tip number 2. So now we're going to move on to tip number 2, which is area of expertise. This is a very important section of the resume. It doesn't mean that the header isn't important or the lower part of the resume isn't important, which is professional experience, and we'll talk about that more in the next tip. However, people typically read from the middle of the page and then go back up to the top of the page or the top of the page and move their eyes back down to the middle of the page. So the header we talked about is very important to tell your reader who you are, what you've done, and what you can do for them. Typically, their eyes will move down to the middle section, which is where the area of expertise lives. So it's very important to continue to capture their attention in this section. So a little bit about area of expertise. This section can be written in a number of ways. For example, career highlights, summary of skills, core competencies, and so on. Regardless of which format you use for your areas of expertise, the key here is to include industry-driven words in this section, to make sure you include your accomplishments and your expertise. We're going to see a sample in the next slide. So here we have an example of how an area of expertise can be listed. We have here this fictional person has industry specific words that are bolded, and next to those words there's a summary brief outline of this person's accomplishments and expertise. So as you can see, this area can be listed in a number of ways. The goal is just to include your accomplishments, your achievements, and industry specific words so that you are staying in alignment with your header and you're staying in alignment with the terminology that your reader is likely to expect to see on paper. Let's move on. So now we're moving on to tip number 3, professional experience. I love writing this section of the resume because it has so much value. Not that the other sections do not, but this is where the curtains open up. All right, so professional experience. Imagine for a moment you have your company name and then the date, and then you have your title, and then you have a list of 8 to 10 bullets of your job responsibilities. That is what I advise people not to do. Most people do not want to read 8 to 10 bullets of something that they can look up online. They could most likely pull up a job description online. What you want to do instead, what I advise people to do instead, is to write a brief, high level summary of the company's success or the success that you've held in that position. Okay? And then from there, you want to add 3 to 4 bullets underneath that overview that outlines your key significant contributions. They could be short, they can be crisp, and to the point. And then from there, what you want to think about doing is quantifying your performance by adding numbers, percentages, or project wins. We all have them. Whether you've managed revenue, whether you've managed people, whether you streamline processes that ended up making people more efficient, we all have wins there. So think about quantifying your performance by adding percentages, numbers, project wins, and so on. And also, you want to think about incorporating some bold and some italicized features to help draw your reader's eye to that area. Let's take a look at an example of what that might look like. So here in this professional experience sample, we can see that this benefit specialist has provided a high-level overview of her job responsibilities. She doesn't have the 8 to 9 bullets, just giving basic information. She's giving an overview of what her job entailed, which is very important and which is very engaging to the reader. And then underneath that, she provides 4 bullet points of her most key contributions as it relates to that role. So if you can take a moment and just visualize the difference in your mind and how this is a lot more crisp and tight and clean as opposed to just saying benefit specialist with 8 to 9 bullets, that just too long to read, and then the quality of what work she's done, if you were to use that format, the quality of something she's done could be in the 7th or 8th or 9th bullet. Here we have it in a summary, and we also show that her quality of work in her 4 bullets, that what she felt was the most significant as it pertained to the role that she was seeking next. So I hope that helps. Let's go on to tip number 4, our final tip. So here we are at our last tip, our 4th tip, publications and presentations. I encourage people to include their publications and presentations in their resume, especially if it relates to the position that they are seeking to do next. Why should you include your publications and presentations in your resume? I'm glad you asked that question. You should include this information in your resume because it shows your depth as a professional. It shows that you are trained outside of the office, outside of the corporate world. It shows your skills in a different format, in a different environment, and how those skills can be added to the position, can actually enhance the position that you're seeking to fill. So please, if you have presentations, if you've been uh, an author, if you has something, publication that was published, excuse me for stuttering that one. If you have a blog that is relevant to the role that you are seeking, it's professional, it's clean, it's not offensive, you should include that in your resume. Let's take a sample of what that might look like. So here is our sample of how you could list your presentations, your publications, your volunteer work, if you've done committee work. Your educational experience can be listed in one of these ways listed here. So this is just to give you some ideas on how it can be formatted and what you can list on your resume. And the other thing I want to tell you about this is that you can list this information where it's most relevant on your resume. You can list something in your header, in your underneath your summary. You can list it in your professional experience. You can list it at the end of the resume. I encourage you to list it where it is most relevant to what information, what section you are speaking about. Okay? I hope that makes sense. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you for staying until the end and watching the 4 tips. I hope you got something out of this. I certainly got something out of this because I love sharing information about career marketing materials, whether it be resumes, cover letters, LinkedIn profiles, or offering some training. If you want to dig a little bit deeper in the 4 tips that I've just shared, all you have to do is click the link below, enter your email address, and you will be sent a free cheat sheet that pretty much goes into more depth about the 4 tips that I covered today. I hope you found that helpful. Thank you for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you soon. Bye.